Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Ladies, understand something. The top end of a woman's weight is 145 pounds. Okay. My mother's 5'9", and she was 145 pounds until she was 50. That's the top end of your weight, because there should be about a 40-pound difference between you and men.
Basically, if the guy is rich, what ends up happening is the lawyer contacts the person and be like, hey, you know, your name gonna be all in the paper, so you might as well just settle out of court.
I can recognize talent. Even if I don't agree with the politics, a lot of the politics that was underlying in the show and some of the sentiments he was trying to share, I recognize artistry when an artist is present.
Yes, this is the definition of absolutely cooked. We'll never go back and take a look at her bad decision and take accountability for any of that.
Because there is powerful people in the industry, somehow there is a different law that applies to them. And I agree with that assessment.
Yo, what up, YouTube, IG, Twitter, Facebook, etc. How y'all feeling today? Tuesday down, Wednesday right around the corner. I got Jason in the building. I got Sydney in the building. I got the star, the show in the building, pulling up with a cameo. I'm going to bring them up here in a second. I got a video that triggered me a lot. And I got a question that I want to pose to the people. This should be interesting. Shout outs to everybody in attendance. Do me a solid. Repost, share, like. Let the people know we live. You see the initial title here. Shout outs to TikTok and shout outs to Threads for giving me the inspiration for tonight's discussion. Get comfortable. If you got any questions, any comments, any concerns, agree, disagree, leave them in the comment section. Pull up. We love to interact with the community itself. This is going to be a goodie. I'm going to let them introduce themselves and we're going to get on with the show. That being said, let's get into it.
This is my assistant.
Yo.
Little Miss Grabby Hands.
Mm-hmm.
How is everybody?
I'm well, thank you.
Doing pretty good. I can't believe it's already Tuesday. The end of the Tuesday, I guess I should say.
You know, I've been told, and I've heard somewhere that Tuesday comes right after Monday.
I'll have to keep that in mind. That must be useful for
state secret, though. It's a state secret. Don't tell anyone. If you tell people, I'm gonna have to kill you. You know.
It's good to see y'all again. The first the first topic was really it's pretty simple, but everybody's opinion on this one varies. I want to save the other one for the later portion, but someone actually asked this, so I'm gonna ask you both. When you loan out money, do you find it to be weird asking for it back? Do you feel like you have to ask for it back? Or do you get uncomfortable when time passes, you haven't heard nothing from the person? And it's like, all right, so you're just gonna keep on acting like you don't owe me anything. So now I gotta be put in this uncomfortable. So hey, you remember a couple weeks ago when I loaned you such? Do you feel like it's weird to have to ask for your anything back in general?
That's a good question. Generally, I'm comfortable asking for money back, especially if it was agreed upon. If it was like, hey, I need you to spot me for this. I need you to help me cover this. But I'll pay you back later. If it's like been a reasonable amount of time and I know what they're like, their schedule, pay periods and stuff like that. What? It's on my wrist. Just play with it on my wrist. If it's been a long enough amount of time, I will be like, hey, remember that amount of money you let me borrow? And it's usually only for like larger amounts. If it's like a couple hundred or 1,000 or something like that, I will be like, hey, yeah, I'll need that back. I'll be reasonable. Like, I won't be like, you have to pay me right now or we're never going to talk again. But I will bring it up at least. And I think for smaller amounts, I might be willing to let it go. Like if somebody went with me and I bought them a coffee or something, I'm not gonna be like, yo, I need that $3.68. I'm not gonna be like that to somebody, but I think it is reasonable to ask, especially if there is a agreement that you were gonna be paying that back. I don't think it's fair if it's like, oh, somebody gifted it to you or you gave it to somebody as a gift or whatever, and you're like, I want it back, or I decided that I want the money now and I'm changing the meaning of what I got you. I don't think that's fair, but I think everybody has the right to ask for something they borrowed back from the person that they gave it to.
Didn't do it. So I treat lending out money the same way that I treat gambling if I gamble. I make sure that it's something that I can afford to lose if necessary. And if it's not, I say no. First of all, I don't care how in need you are. You're not going to impinge my lifestyle because of your need. You figure your own shit out. But if it comes to the fact where I can loan them, there's going to be an agreement. Okay, so when can I expect payment back? And you know that if I don't get it by this time, I'm going to hound you a little bit. And if you don't pay me back, there are going to be some consequences. Not like I'm going to break your legs or anything, but more like karma's a bitch kind of thing. So I'm more of the kind of person where if I lend it out, there's going to be an agreement of when there's going to be a payback, and then we're going to go from there. And if it doesn't happen, then other decisions have to be made. Like I have to question what this is someone I really want to have in my life. If this is someone worth actually keeping around, because if they can't keep their word, what good are they? So those are some of my initial thoughts.
Just going off of that, I have actually ended friendships over stuff like that, where I've had a friend that I would, this is back when I was in college and my soft, mushy, I want to be nice to everyone self. I would take people out and like, oh no, it's okay, I got you, I'll pay for you. But then after a while, it was obvious that she was just using me to get free food. And when I finally cut it off, she was I basically tried to ask her like, hey, can this be like a back and forth, so it's not just me paying every single time. And after that, she was like, oh, she'd always have excuses for why she didn't want to go to lunch and stuff like that. And so then I ended up not hanging out with her because I realized that she basically didn't want to hang out with me unless I was like paying for something for her. So I definitely, I think there's a lot of people that don't stand their ground when it comes to sharing money. They just kind of like let other people take control of their own wallets and are like, if you're going to give away free money, I'm going to take it.
I've never had to do like a contractual agreement with anybody. I think is if you have to go that far with a person, you already know what type of person you're dealing with. I've never had to do that before. Usually it's always like a verbal, hey man, look, I promise when I get as soon as I get paid on Thursday or Friday, I'm gonna go ahead and slide you something here. I might pay you every other week until I pay it off or something like that. Or if you do this now, I'll make sure you get it back next week or whatever. It's never been. Or sometimes you might not even get a specific date out of a person. They'll just say, I'll pay you back as soon as I can. And I agree with what Jason said. Don't give it out if you can't afford to lose it. Most times I can't afford to lose it, and I would always end up still doing it anyway. But I've learned from that, and it's never happening again. I don't care how many times you ask me. I don't care how many times you try to proposition and entice me. Oh, well, if you do this, then I'll double it and add on interest to that. Well, based on your track record, you're not really reliable anyway. So I'm going to say pass on this one. But thank you anyway. Go ahead.
I do want to address something that you had said, Mel, because I totally understand where you're coming from as far as the idea of not having to have any kind of real agreement. It's more like I'll get you when I can. And there can be times for that, sure. My view is if you're borrowing money, this is no longer about friendship. This is about something much more. And accountability and commitment are on the line. There's now something that is more than just trust that is now on the line. And it's as much for me as it is for the other person. Because if I'm asking for money, I'm going to say, look, I need this money. I can pay you back in 30 days. This is going to be the plan in which I'm going to do it. I'm going to give someone the assurance that they need to believe that I am trustworthy enough to pay back. If someone says, I'll get you when I can, to me, there's a lot of risk involved. And I'm the kind of person who tries to mitigate as much risk as possible. I'm not a fly by the seat of your pants kind of type. I'm a researcher. Crying out loud. So I want to make sure that in business, when you are doing business with someone, the friendship aspect is set aside. This is now a transaction that is happening. Friendship is built on trust. Reciprocity is there. And you do things for each other. The moment that there is an ask, that goes aside. Mainly because if they're asking me for something, they must really need something. And I want to be there for them. At the same time, I need to make sure there's an agreement. There's some sort of assurance. Okay, you need to lend $1,000 from me. Okay, we need to have a conversation. What do you need it for? When can I expect to be paid back? And what's going to happen if I don't get paid back? And these are questions that I think are legitimate to ask. And I think part of the problem is people get uncomfortable asking for the money back because they don't have these kinds of conversations. It's left very vague. And now they don't know what the right thing to do is. They've either been burned, and their people have said, "Well, I never agreed to pay you back. Well, why would I do that? I mean, you said you were just going to give it to me." Verbal agreements are so easy to twist around, and friendships are lost because of that kind of switch up. It's like, you know who your friends are when they're really in need, and the ones who are real friends are the ones who step up. But that doesn't mean that you should just trust them blindly. Okay, you're going to step up. Give me some assurance to let me know that. That way, if you break your commitment, I know that not only are you a POS, but you're also a POS that was always going to lie to me, who just wanted to take my shit. And I have no time for that. I have absolutely no time for that. So friendship and money should never go into the same hand. This is my philosophy. I yield the mic.
I'm just not built like that, bro. Like, to be honest with you, even if I borrowed $5 from you, I'm going to want to pay that back, because I don't want that shit hovering over my head. So all I'm going to be thinking about is, they lent me money. They lent me something when I needed it. I could never forget that. It's always going to be etched up here. Every time I see you, every time we speak, I'm going to be reminded of it. Some people, they know how to turn that part of the brain off and act as if there's a non-disclosure, or there's like zero expiration date on when they can hold out. And I like what you said too, because I always felt that there is a difference between doing business with someone and actually being a friend or being a spouse to them. Because now you're trying to blend two things together that is impossible. I worked for this. I put time in for this. And even though I might be fond of you, I still want my money. Or like, I have things that I have to take care of too, just like you. Now, you need to understand that maybe I can afford to do it. Maybe I can't afford to do it. But that extra that I'm giving out could have went to something. But I'm taking a risk by doing this for you. How are you perceiving this transaction? Are you looking at it the same way I'm looking at it? That's why I say I like what you said about it kind of challenges how you value the friendship, or just doing anything with them. Like, you can go out, have a beer with a person, or maybe laugh at a few jokes in movies and go eat with somebody. But when it comes to doing actual business with the person, that's when you really see a person for who they are. And it's usually when money's involved, or it's usually when you put something in the middle of a person and the other one that they desire or need or want, that makes you really say if they are still going to remain the same person that they were before that. And I'll yield for now.
One thing I want to rebuttal really quick, and then I'm going to shut up so that Sydney can get a word in, because I know we've been going back and forth. One thing I do want to say on this is I have this threshold. If it's under $100 and someone just needs it for me, I don't consider that a loan. I consider that, okay, well, I can just go ahead and risk this. I don't mind. Someone needs $20 here you go. I'm not even going to think of nothing of it. And if they try to give it back to me, oh, you can just do something for me later. I consider that more of a gift given rather than a loan. But if it's something that's more than $100, it becomes something serious. And I think that's where my I draw the line. Where if it's under the $100, it's like, yeah, well, whatever, it's just $100. That's probably the higher end. But if it's something that I can do for them, and I know that they are good for it, not because they're going to pay me back in finance, but they're going to pay me back in something else. They're going to pay me back in reciprocity of some other kind. Then that's a different story. But when I hear when someone says, well, what about lending? When I hear the word lending or when I hear the word borrowing, to me, that is a connotation of something that's a little bit more serious. It goes beyond that $100 mark, where it's something that is really needed to give. It's probably going to be something significant for me. It may not impede my lifestyle, but at the same time, it's still it's an investment. It's a risk. One thing I will say in regard to marriage, if you are separating your money with your spouse, I'm going to say that's a bit of a red flag. Because the matrimonial money, and this goes into what happens legally as well, is all money is pooled together. Now you might say that this is our money. We need to allocate this for this and this and this. There is a certain amount of money that we have to allocate towards something that cannot be touched for pleasure or for miscellaneous or leisure type activities. This has to be allocated, and you have to respect that. And then whatever else is there is whatever else is there. But this is where the communication and relationship really comes in. It really comes in important, because the more you are willing to have those conversations of, okay, this is the money that we have, and this is what we have to do. In order to survive, we have to allocate this amount of money in order for housing, for bills, for everything else that we have made a commitment for. We have to use this for that commitment. And we're going to allocate this much for our savings. So we can't touch that as well. So now we're left with this that we can use for anything else, for going out to eat, for going seeing a movie, for going on trips, whatever. And I guess that's just the way that I've always been taught, and that I've always really lived, is that you have, when you're married, you have that matrimonial money. And it's the two of you that are working together to make sure that it is used wisely for the house as well as to enjoy when possible, but making sure that everything is well understood where it must go. I yield the mic.
One thing I was going to say about friends, kind of going back to what you, Jason, had said earlier, where when people, as you said, like if you loan somebody money, especially if it's a large amount of money, you really should only do it with the people that you genuinely know. For like, you actually know them, you know their habits, you know what they're going to be using it for. For example, I've given my friend money to help support her child who's he has a really rare condition, and so I like to help her out because we've been best friends for over 15 years at this point, and we've been through school together. I used to spend most of my time with her, so I know her very, very well. Our kids are almost the same age. Our husbands know each other, so I feel very comfortable giving it to her. But I know there's a lot of people that just to be able to maintain friendships, they're like showering their best friend, their many, many best friends with gifts and stuff. And it's, I think this is more so in the like influencer sphere, or like the highly wealthy sphere, or the wannabe wealthy sphere, where they are dedicating large quantities of large proportions of their income or debt collections on stuff that they can kind of give out to other people to gain a following. And so I think there's as you're saying, there's definitely two different types of giving money to people. There's a huge difference between, I'm going to help you out, here's a set amount of money, I expect that you'll pay it back in like 6 months or whatever. Like, there's something very different from that versus just like, I don't actually have the money, but I'm still going to give it to you anyways because I want your favor, or putting yourself out just to get somebody money or whatever. So yeah, there's just a lot of variety or variations in like why somebody would give away money. But when it comes down to it, I really think that the person should know the person that they're giving their money to, and also have a limit in their mind of, I'm not going to give beyond this point, because I've heard time and time again of people that have been in abusive friendships and relationships and have been had their money siphoned from them because the person saw their generosity and took full advantage of it. So I definitely caution people that have those types of friends that seem to only want to be around you when you're handing out freebies, because there are definitely toxic people out there that will take advantage of those people that are highly generous.
So I look at it like this, and I'll leave it here to go into the next topic. Looking at it from, I just want to be organized and in decent order. With anybody that I do anything with, business or romantic, just platonic, I want to be on even keel with everybody. I don't want there to be no mistakes on where you stand or where I stand with you, which means between the conversations, between the interactions, going out, splitting the bill, buying lunch here or there, it's always going to be reciprocity on my end. I don't want there to be no confusion. When you deal with me, it's legit. You don't have to question nothing. You're going to know either I got it or I don't got it. If I step out there and say, look, I need X amount, or I need this, we good. You're just gonna know. That's how I feel it should be all across the board with everybody. It's not like that, but even if, let's say, it's $20, $30, $40, maybe $100, something like that, I will do increments, $5, $10, $20 every week or every other week. The point is, I want you to see the actions. I don't want to just tell you I'm going to do it. I want you to know that it's in the motion because it's physically present for you. And if I can't do it through money, well, there's other ways that you, like Jason was saying, there's other ways that you can show a person that, hey, I respect you. You are an intricate part of my life. Let me do something to help take burdens off of you, or do something that alleviates some of the stresses that you got going on, whatever that may be. I can chip in with something that might not translate through physical paper, but I can step in and help in other areas, like maybe babysit, or maybe, help around the yard, or I don't know. You think whatever it is that you are in need of that might be a little bit much for you at the time because you don't have extra hands. I can be an extra hand. So I guess it really just depends on the person, like you were saying, Sydney. I sure as hell don't see me giving a complete stranger $4,500. That's not happening. That you're tripping. You're lucky to get 50 cents from me. But I mean, I don't know. At this point, to even consider somebody a friend is a lot in 2025. So holler at me later on in life if I get that type of circle of people where I can even have the option of having that type of thing going on. I know. I mean, anyone else want to touch on this before we move on, or?
I totally understand where everyone's coming from, and I there are a lot of points that I agree with as far as like making sure you know who you're giving to, and that's a good practice regardless. And I think the idea of wanting to show appreciation with money, basically buying your friends, that's toxic as hell. And there are situations in which it is a good cause, or there is something that you give that's not going to be a burden. I watched this show called Chicago Med, and on it there's this one doctor who's she's an OBGYN. She's I'm not sure what the term of it is, maternity doctor, in the ER. And her sister was trying to have a baby and was constantly, it wasn't going very well, and tried to get her sister, who was the doctor, to do something that was immoral. And her sister said, "No, I can't do that." So instead of doing something that would have put herself in a bind for her sister, what she did was she basically paid for her sister's IVF treatments. Now, granted, she's in a position where she can do that. She has a career that makes it possible for her to give to that level. And she wasn't expecting it back. But because of that, the gratitude that her sister felt, it kept them more in touch, healed a lot of the wounds that were going on between them, and created a much deeper bond in that relationship. And that right there creates its own sense of reciprocity. Because the sister wasn't like, "Thanks, bounce." It's like ghost her sister after that. It was more the fact that she was appreciative, and so she kept her sister updated, and eventually she was able to get pregnant and shared the news with her sister, and it was a wonderful situation. And this is one of those times where you're right. You don't need to look for the payback, but there are payments in other ways, especially in the idea of reciprocity, which is great. And from what I understand, this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about when someone says, "Hey, man, I'm kind of hard up. I could use X amount of money in order to help me out with rent, car payment, whatever it might be. Baby mama is acting ornery again, and is expecting this exotic thing from Amazon that costs $4,500, and I will get $1,000. I need some help, or she's gonna leave me." Or something equally as elaborate. Who knows? But making sure that if that's the case, well, yeah, okay. Well, let's talk about this, because there's a lot going on here. And I think it's as much to understand the person's state of mind who's looking for the loan, as much as it is your desire to give it. Understand what it is, what their state of mind is. And that can be its own assurance. Why? The question of why is asked. And very rarely will you get, I know I can't speak for anybody else but me, actually. But very rarely will I give someone money unless I know them really well. And we have developed this kind of trust where money is no object for the most part. I won't give money to a person without any reason why. It's like, "I need some money, but you can't ask me any questions." It's like, hell no. But the idea of understanding why can create its own sense of assurance. Okay, well, this could be for a really good cause. They haven't asked money before. They've always been someone that I can rely on. You know what? It might be worth it. Okay, let's figure out terms for repayment. And I think that those two things can exist in the same conversation, because again, money and friends at some level need to be somewhat separate. They can they can coexist, but they can't. You don't want to mix the two, because then that's when things kind of get out of control. This is just my experience. Now, I've been burned many times by people who said that they wanted me, they asked for money, and they turned around and did not do anything in return. No reciprocity, no repayment, nothing. So maybe I'm a little jaded. Maybe when it comes to this, I'm a little gun shy because of past experience. Like, if you want money, okay, I need to know what bank you bank with. I need to know your mother's maiden name. I need to know the last 4 of your social security number, your blood type, because I already know where you live. And is that kind of thing where you're that jaded where it's like you need that kind of assurance, because you don't want to get burned again. And then there's some people like, screw it, whatever. But
I'm gonna need you to wear this GPS tracker for as long as you owe me this debt.
Download this app on your phone so I know exactly what you're doing at all times.
That's a fact. You know what's funny though, because I've done this for like the last, I'm guilty of it. I've done this for the last 2 years with somebody specifically. I'm not going to call you out. I don't know if you're watching, but you know who I'm talking about. I'm not doing it anymore, but it was like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing here? We got Apple, we got Cash App, we got Zelle, we got Venmo. We have all these options. What are your excuses? You know what I'm saying? But I digress. I'm not holding that against the person anymore. I've let it go. I'm just not doing any type of business or getting involved in that area with them anymore. So, like, lesson learned on that front. It's a long story. I won't go into it. Shout out to B Bodacious in the building. Appreciate you for stopping in. I want to get to this next topic. This video is about 52 seconds or so. To give you some context, this was a dance recital or something of that sort, and what you're going to see is the coach go to embrace the children, but she excludes one from the embrace. You'll see here in a second. To everybody's watching, share your thoughts. I'm going to play this right now, and yeah.
Sent her this video. Breglia posted it on her TikTok and it instantly went viral. We visited Dance Expressions Wednesday, but no one answered the door. Their phone voicemail box is full and they've taken down their social media pages. Breglia says both of her daughters who dance for the studio are now kicked out of the program.
But at no point in time was there a conversation about your actions, an apology towards my daughter.
As they look for a new dance studio, they're grateful for the outpouring of support from people all over the world.
This has reached globally. I have had people from Australia, Germany, UK, Ghana reach out to me and just say, please hug that little girl and tell her that you have support, you have people that want to give you a hug.
That's it?
That's it. Now, I'm not, hopefully it played from start to finish. Basically, the girl is biracial. The woman pretty much sidestepped her, hugged the other three. Everybody's pissed off about it. The mom confronted the coach about it. We didn't get no answers. She tried to say, oh, I didn't do nothing wrong. But we're watching the video, and yeah, that's where we're at.
Sydney, I'm gonna let you take this one because this probably hits closer to home to you than it is for me.
I don't know what was going on in the teacher's mind, so it's I don't know if like I don't know if there's other stuff to back up what the mother felt. Like if this was just another incident belonging to a pattern of these incidences, or if it was just like a one-time incident, like if this teacher has a history of it. But like if like just saying that this is exactly what the reason was, like this is exactly what the teacher was doing. I obviously I don't condone that at all. Obviously you should not be showing favoritism to any children. And I mean, to be honest, even I guess giving hugs to kids is fine, but I know there's some people that might be like, why are you even showing physical affection to kids and stuff like that? I've heard that argument before, like kids should not be hugging their teachers. They shouldn't, like teachers shouldn't be showing affection to the kids because it'll cause issues with like favoritism and all this other stuff. They actually had that policy at my elementary school when I was a kid because there was a student that he had autism and he loved hugging our art teacher, and one of the moms of another student complained, saying that could borderline on like sexual harassment and stuff like that. But just from the video, it's kind of hard for me to judge because I can't. They don't give enough context really to see what's happening. I could see it like it's just busy. She's in the middle of like doing this dance recital, and maybe she just accidentally skipped over, and like, or maybe she had known these other students longer and knew them better or something. I don't know what the reasons could have been. So I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to give pointed feedback besides just my kind of speculation and thoughts.
Yeah, I'm of the same line. It's like you don't know enough, and what they did show is just very inflammatory, and it does not. It gives it forces an emotional reaction without any context, and I viscerally hate that kind of media exposure. I think it is the worst thing ever. It's basically propaganda. It is getting people to react emotionally to a potential nothing burger, and then causing people to go into all kinds of a frenzy, which they're going to do because mob mentality. People are stupid, and people are going to just follow the masses because they're dumb as shit. And it is so. In order for me to give any kind of credence to what is being said, like Sydney said, we have to know more. We have to know what else was going on. Was there an award or a medal that was given? That's where they got the hug, and this girl didn't. All we see is this girl was looking for a hug where one was not offered. Like there was expectation. You know what? Kids get disappointed all the time. So what? It happens. Disappointment is not going to create generational trauma. It's just not. However, the parents' reaction might, because now they're blowing this thing way out of proportion. If that's all that it is, there's nothing that actually shows that this is anything more than just an oversight.
I just looked at a different version of the video, and first of all, there's another girl outside the frame of the initial video that basically looks exactly like her, and she also didn't get a hug. The woman basically ran in and she just hugged the three closest kids to her. It really just seemed like it was a hug of opportunity, because then as soon as she hugs the three girls, then all of the other team rushes in for a photo. So I don't really think, like, she didn't even seem to be paying attention to the people around her. It wasn't like she looked up at the girl and then, like, I'm going to give these people a hug, like, stay away from me. She just, like, gave a hug and then turned around and was talking to somebody, and then they were all posing for the picture. So I think they might be making a little bit more of this than there actually is to this story. I can understand why, because as a parent, obviously you'd hate to see your child upset by something like that. But it's the way the news is spinning this is definitely pretty outrageous. Like, there's a lot of all caps comments in this Yahoo News story.
Parents need to grow up. And the news media needs to mind their own damn business.
So I'm gonna say this. Both of you are right. Now I despise that too. I think it's very corny to bait people into a reaction, especially when you don't really know if this is raw footage or it's taken out of proportion to look a certain way. Playing devil's advocate, I can see both of your points. Coming from a different perspective, me seeing her reach out before the hug and then see the lady kind of like dismiss her, you are 1 foot away from her. You see her. So you're not going to convince me that you didn't see her. On top of that, the fact that you don't respond, the parent confronts you about it. The news confronts you about it. No one is to be found. Everybody is off social media. They shut down their Instagram, all that. So what was that for? Why did you feel the need to leave your social media account? Why did you feel the need to close anything down if you didn't do anything wrong or there was nothing there to be shown? So you could see it from both perspectives. I could see them creating something out of this to piss people off. I can see that. But I can also see a little girl getting ignored right in front of my face. And a
I can
parent
also
being up.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, and also, I can also see the parent acting like a Karen and taking this way out of more proportion more than necessary. And the coach didn't pull away from the child; she just pulled away from the hug, and she just walked the other way. People are looking at this way more than they really should, and people without any expertise in body language are adding their own perceptions without knowing what the hell they're talking about.
That's the tough part about it. You know, it reminds me of hearing somebody say something one way, but you hear it a different way. So it might sound logical to you, but to another person, it might create like this emotional response to it. It might trigger them. But to somebody else, it just sounds average, or it just sounds regular. It's just them talking. They didn't mean no harm by it. But to you, it's like, oh, what? You said what? What? I can see that. And she could be a Karen. She very well could be one. But answer this question then. If that's the truth, and she's making a big deal out of it, why did they kick her and her kids out of the program? They kicked her and the kids out of the program, and they shut down their social media altogether. What was the point of that?
Harassment. I mean, you can look at it from any different way and have an answer. The thing is, we don't know, and no one really knows what was going on. And this news piece did not have to be there. All it was doing was trying to stir up shit. That's it. It is irresponsible journalism.
I think most journalism is irresponsible.
Nowadays, yes, I would agree.
I guess this one is up for interpretation. And I was leaning towards one way, and I'm after listening to you and Sydney, I'm torn because I'm guilty of hearing something and thinking that it was directed towards me, or it was cataclysmic, and it really wasn't. It was innocent. I'm guilty of seeing something and thinking it was one thing, and it really wasn't. So we do that a lot. Humans do that a lot. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is that situation.
And human beings can't be faulted for it, but we also need to show a bit of grace. Instead of pointing fingers and trying to create an enemy, why not look for an opportunity to create a friend? Instead of accusing somebody of doing something that could be racially motivated, why not look for a reason why, or look for some kind of explanation, or have a discussion? Say, hey, I want to know what was going on. How can we avoid this in the future? Or even say, this wasn't that big of a deal. And just go about business as normal. Because no one got hurt, no one died, no one had to go to the hospital. No one was arrested. And because of that, nothing really happened. Just making more of a situation than it has to be. We could use these moments as opportunities to create connections, and yet we are doing our damnedest to find out how we can use these moments to tear each other apart. It is the stupidest thing ever.
The rest of the article seems to kind of corroborate what you said. The mom pulled her daughters out of the studio, and she blames the studio for it. She said, "Unfortunately, I get to wipe the tears from my kids' faces because they work so hard to have their passion ripped away from them." And then she said that they refused to have a conversation today. When she called the director, they hung up in her face, as if the studio hadn't made thousands off of her family. So she sounds very spiteful over a very, to me, it seems very minor. I probably would not have made, I know myself, I would not have made a stink over something like that. Like at the very, very least, I would have been like, hey, my kid wanted a hug. Can you give him or her a hug? Like, if it was that important to my child, I would be like, can you give him a hug? Because you didn't, and they're upset about it. So, but I wouldn't be like that. What this is portraying the incident to be.
On TikTok, they add shit. Excuse my language. There's another version of this. They got sad music playing to it. The internet don't care about nobody. The internet don't care about nobody, bro. They got the violin playing to it. It's like when she walks, when she reaches out for the hug and the lady withdraws, that's when the music kicks in. I'm like, oh, come on.
They need Sarah McLachlan to be singing "In the Arms of the Angel."
I won't remember you. Do not remember me. Just let it go. Something like that. But yeah, I totally agree. It's the more and more we revisit this, it's like this is a total Karen moment that didn't need to happen. This is what some serious entitlement of, I expect this. Well, you know, the more you expect, the more you can expect to be disappointed. And if you refuse to accept that, it means that you are a child in adult clothing. And shame on you for teaching your kids that it's okay for you to be belligerent.
Entitlement.
Yeah, she could have handled that. That definitely could have handled that.
This kind of shit fires me up.
Yeah. I guess that was the objective, though, right? I mean, the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because we can say that it was conjured, but the fact of the matter is these things do happen. As how frequent, I don't know. How often, I don't know. I typed a random and got another video. It wasn't the same person. It was in a different school, almost the same situation. It's funny how you can just type in something and then something else pulls up on the same thing, and there's just so much of it. I think the overall, we need you said something a few minutes ago about, well, so what can we do moving forward to mitigate these issues from reoccurring so often? Let's talk about that. Let's do that. So there's no misinterpretations.
The first thing is just to have more grace. Treat people as people and see misunderstandings as misunderstandings. Missed opportunities is just that, missed opportunities, rather than an entitlement of what should be deserved. Second thing is, if you notice something that's happening that is not right, have a conversation about it before you take to the internet and try to put someone on blast about what they may or may not have done. Have a conversation. Treat people like people. Be willing to have tough conversations and come to some kind of resolution. If you aren't willing to do that, you are in the wrong. Yeah, you might see something that's not right, but if you aren't willing to try to have a conversation to make it right, you are just as wrong, because you are guilty of being divisive. And we don't need more divisiveness. We need things that are going to bring people together. And shame on you for doing that. How dare you? You don't have the right to make someone feel like shit because you didn't get what you wanted, or your child should have gotten something, or you believe your child should have gotten something that they didn't. Okay, diva. No one cares. And I think we just need to have more opportunities of being able to connect more. Say, hey, you know, I noticed that this happened. I'd love to have a conversation about it. Make sure that it's not something more than it is. And if it is, what can we do to actually mitigate this? Because this isn't right. You know it's not right. I know it's not right. I don't want to make this into a thing. So let's figure this out.
Plain and simple. Does it have to be a big fiasco? You ain't got to rip out of your clothes and turn into Hulk Hogan up here. We got you. You saw something that you think you saw. But let's talk about this after the ceremony, or once we get the kids off stage. We don't have to put on a performance piece for the entire world. And I'm curious. The people who were recording it, because nobody really talked about that. The people who recorded it, you uploaded this. And so I'm wondering, being as how you were there front row, did you see what you were recording? Or did you see something else that we didn't see, but you put up what you wanted to put up? We don't hold them people accountable enough either. It's always the ones with the camera that's the first to say, oh, look, we got something here. Let me go ahead and upload this real quick.
I'm willing to bet that it was the mother.
Trying to see if I can find anything.
All I remember is one of the news reporters saying it was uploaded to TikTok and went viral. Now, I don't know who did it, but I'm guaranteeing you it had to be someone close to the child. It had to be.
It was the mom that filmed it. Yeah.
The agitator is the one who actually filmed it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't write this shit. I mean, this is just like it just writes itself. I mean, come on.
I don't know what else to say about it other than I think, like, in general, moving forward to people who are watching or will watch videos like this moving forward, take it for a grain of salt. Everything that you see is not always reality.
Mm-hmm.
I be forgetting. I ain't gonna hold you. Sometimes I really like there's things that you see and it's like it's obvious this is staged. This ain't real. It's real clear the acting is horrible. But then there's other situations where it's a little more convincing. So it's like I don't know about this one. And I think
that's why TikTok is so dangerous, because they can just cut it and put whatever 5-10 second bit they want. And you can take a lot of things out of context by just putting a 10-second clip from anywhere within the whole video.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on this or on lending out money to people? Closing remarks?
Don't be a jerk. don't be really don't be like this to people. If you want to be a good person, don't accuse people of things that you don't understand if you don't know them. Also, be careful of who you ask for money from. She's giving some really great advice. I can't translate at the moment, but she's fluent. So
she's providing the answers of the universe that only she can understand, and we have no way of knowing. It's all trapped in her head. It's like it just can't come out.
She's actually solved a lot of the mysteries of the universe. I can't understand her yet, so it's my fault. My apologies.
We all need to do better.
Hey, the young will teach the old. That is a fact. Absolute fact.
Do you have anything else to say?
She's on camera, so like no.
I'll say this. Don't loan out money to people that have a bad track record with paying you back. If you're going to take the risk, don't get upset when it doesn't pan out the way that you would like it. and also be prepared to lose someone in your life if it comes down to it, depending on what it is that you exchange with them. Because everybody's credibility is not up to par. People take kindness for weakness, and honestly, don't do it if you don't want to do it anyway. Nobody should be forcing you to do something that you don't want to. And don't go into it with the expectations that you're going to get what you're going to get just because. It don't work like that. The world don't revolve around us. Things are very unpredictable. You'll think a person is one way until money gets involved, until favors gets involved, and now you're looking at them in an entirely different light. Now, as far as the video, I watched videos on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitch, on Twitter, and I will tell you, I don't believe half of the stuff I see. We have to be very unbiased and very impartial to what we watch and what we consume. Because for one, you're being unfair. When you prejudge something and you don't really know for certain what's happening, you don't give any space for the conversation to develop further, because you already got it in your head that it's one way, and it might be something else to it. And we are all guilty of doing it way too much. So just be a little more considerate of that before you just assume that what you're getting is what you're getting. Now, if this was based on actual profiling or whatever you want to label it as, that's a different conversation. And I still think that any of this that went on, it shouldn't have been publicized. It should have been handled off camera between the mother and the staff. The children shouldn't be around or involved in these outbursts and nothing. Kids should never be involved in adults arguments or disputes. All that stuff should be separate. So those are my final thoughts on all of that.
I'm glad you added that in, because that is definitely a under discussed conversation, which we should totally have in another episode of like people oversharing to their children and allowing their kids into too much of adult life, because that is a huge issue right now that I don't really see a lot of people talking about.
Oh, absolutely. And it also goes into I think it's a huge part of also emotional abandonment, and which is one of the biggest I think it's one of the biggest problems that we have in society right now is the emotional abandonment of the young.
Would that also would the parent overly relying on their child for emotional support fall under that umbrella? Or
absolutely, yeah. Okay. And that's actually even worse, because now you're taking someone who has no context for emotion, and you're now saying you basically force them to become codependent. Mm-hmm. It's a recipe for codependency, and that's I know what that's like, and I don't like that. So yeah.
I definitely jot that one down.
Oh, I sent you a voice clip, Mel, just in case you haven't gotten to Messenger.
Yeah, I might have to check that out. Because I ain't getting no notifications. I'll confirm with you though here in a second. But I'm gonna jot that one down. We'll save that one for next Tuesday. Jason, Sydney, as always, pleasure to converse with you guys, man. It helps the week go faster. It eliminates all of the heaviness of life. I get to decompress. I get to just relax with y'all, man. And the wisdom is always appreciated. Yeah. Gotcha. I got you covered. Thank you for sharing that. I got you. Oh, quick question. Did you get the you funny as hell too. You funny for we did
The video?
yeah. Like that was so spot on. I was at work laughing at that shit.
I'll have to send it
did
to you, Jason. You'll find it funny.
Yeah. Did you get the tornado one I said?
I'll have to double check.
Yeah, I figured you might enjoy that because it was more based on real events and it wasn't 2012, you know what I'm saying? So there's that. But now y'all enjoy the rest of y'all evening, and I will see you tomorrow. And to the people that are watching, thank you for tapping in with us. You all have a blessed one. I will see some of you later. I will confirm with you on Messenger. This is Assembly Excellence signing out.
See you guys tomorrow. See you next week, Jason.